right, Keeley. Hey, congratulations on your short film, American Social.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So tell us what sparked you to do a short film like this?
I think the initial idea kind of came about when I was living part-time in down by the World Trade Center near the new memorial. And I've forever had a very kind of conflicting feeling towards social media and Instagram. And I'm sure this story could be played. There's so many aspects of social media that can be told, but there's an aspect of seeing people taking selfies, which can be highly inappropriate, I think, at times. And when I was at the memorial, I would come downstairs, go to about my day, and I would see so many people taking selfies at the memorial. And I was slightly infuriated by this because I feel that this is a place of thinking about others and respecting the environment. So I think that kind of was an initial thought. And then it was another moment. I was in a van on a film shoot talking about people and selfies and people dying taking selfies. And I was like, someone in the van was like, quick to turn around and say, fuck yeah, they deserve it. And I was just like, oof, you know, how it can instigate, can actually pull something out of you. And I'm not saying that the selfie is as a part of social media is a terrible thing. I mean, it has a place and it can be quite wonderful. It's just there's a certain overuse of things. And there's a dark side to social media that, as we know, has grown along with its popularity. It's also grown in other ways as well. So I think that the combination, I was like, this is kind of a perfect scenario for what could be a mystery of circumstances of what could happen.
There's like a certain irony because of you directed music videos, and a lot of these clients heavily rely on social media.
Yes, it's integral to who they are as people. It's a part of how to get their information across. But yeah, I mean, it's important. I think self-promotion and the audiences have grown exponentially, and the way we see media is also it's grown so much that like there isn't just one avenue anymore. You kind of have to appeal to so many different varieties of media.
So then for you personally, how involved in social media are you? Are you just a little bit or a lot, or guilty pleasure?
A little bit. I mean, I enjoy the memes. I enjoy laughing at some of the incredibly funny memes that are made, and some accounts are absolutely incredibly creative. I think there's some pure great creativity coming from it. There is information that we receive, sometimes not always the right information, but I enjoy it. But I was recently going through some old tapes of like video footage when we were younger, and we didn't have it. And we were like, obviously what were we doing with our time when we weren't sitting on our phones scrolling for some kind of information or some connection? And I think during the pandemic, because I shot this before the pandemic, it took a long time to actually finish because of circumstances with regards to the pandemic and lockdown. Yeah, we spend a lot of time on it. Even if we manage to not, like, if we can control it, it can eat away at some of our time. But I do think it's an amazing format, and I actually was quite inspired by like the process of the promotion of a short film, in actual fact. Recently, I'm working with some friends of mine to promote it, and how that takes on a whole nother life of like creativity.
So tell us about the development of your two characters that you wanted to portray on there, because there's all these different types of social media types out there, but you created two very believable characters.
Yeah, I think that was the point. I think that they had to feel like you could relate to these people, or like them or dislike them. It tends to be the feminine role is, or whatever that means, is tends to be more in front of the camera. I think that is a little bit of, I think men in the traditional way we used to see the world, men, female gender, and all that kind of element, like men maybe stand back from it a bit. They won't put themselves in front of the camera as much. But I think that deep down, we all, which I feel like he kind of gets into, there is an addiction that we all feel, regardless of who you are, of when you suddenly get some kind of a like, or you get some kind of attention from that kind of stuff. We all clickbait, we all get like a little bit of some buzz from it. And I think that's the ultimate kind of, it's addictive to everyone.
No, it is true. And something that goes viral sometimes go viral for different reasons or unexpected reasons. Absolutely.
Yeah, totally. And it has got this dark side to it, where social media has led to so many other beyond what we used to think of it as, like being found out about certain situations, showing things that you probably wouldn't have shown many years ago, people thinking that they can solve problems and crimes through the use of social media from what they see and what they think they can see in what you're posting. What is that person posting? It's how close is that to their real life? And it really often probably is very different from where they actually are, which we all know, but we still want to like kind of reveal it for its flaws.
Now, this short film is mainly a lot of the hiking scenes. Was it purposeful because you wanted to tell the dark story of this American social? I mean, it could have been said on any different direction, but of course the surprise ending is probably more fitting.
Yes, I think that they had to be in a place where something could happen when maybe nobody could see. Like you said, it could have happened on a rooftop in the middle of Manhattan, but there was something about the element of going back to nature where there isn't the distraction of the city and social life. Like they were supposed to be in this place where they should be taking note of how great it is to be away from the rat race, but they're bringing the rat race there in some ways.
Well, then tell us this environment that you chose to film your hiking sequences, because I want to say that your production, the cinematography is very sharp. Obviously, you did not go the social media route and just take an Apple iPhone up there to film everything.
Completely, which would have been a lot easier, because we did hike a lot with the camera and some giant zoom lenses. So props to my DP and crew for doing that. I really didn't want to show the phone in some ways. I really didn't want to show the context of the phone. I think that's something that cinema and television has had to really incorporate in today's storytelling, because so much information is in these phones, and they've found different ways of, like, whether it's displaying the content on the screen, displaying the phone, and I kind of wanted to keep it as cinematic as possible, in as much my influence and my love of 70s style kind of cinema as well. So I didn't want to play into the phone too much. I wanted it to be a character rather than part of it.
So what was the challenges on a project like this for you? Was just being in the middle of nowhere, the hikes?
The hikes, the weather, which is always something you're like, oh, we'll shoot outside. It's like, it's cheaper. You don't need this. You don't need lights and and you're like, what fucking weather. So that was a challenge. And just time, really. It's and budget and the amount of crew. I didn't have a script supervisor. That's something that, like, looking back, I'm like, you think you can get away with things, and you're suddenly like, no, that is such an integral part of a job, as a script supervisor.
May I ask where's this hiking trails that you chose for your beautiful scenery, or that we may actually avoid not to follow? you
So
know, to get into accidents.
yeah, absolutely. You can Google both of these places, and they both have had, sadly, accidents there, and had to take measures to make signs to stop people from doing exactly this. So one is Catskill Falls. It's upstate New York. It's about 2-3 hours from the city. It's beautiful. And that's where they go into the fall and walk the way up. And then the other is Lake Minnewaska, is part of the Hudson Valley. And it's still a drop, but as far as like a distance, but it wasn't as a great a drop as I made it look a little grander in the film. But it's beautiful. It's a great way to get out of the city. It's not far, and it's an amazing place to go visit.
It does look beautiful. Talk a little bit about the cast, your leading man and your leading lady that you brought on board.
Yeah, I had my friend Kristen Palladino did the casting, and we started with casting our male lead, and then through friends, I met Isabel, and I did cast some other girls as well, and we did a few chemistry sessions to see how it went. But I felt like when Isabel and Michael got together, there was definitely an instant kind of chemistry between them. So it was I did quite a large casting, but it was evident instantly who I thought was the right people for it.
Now, obviously, this is a short film, and you have done notable and numerous music videos in the past.
Just to point out, the music videos, most of them I was a producer on, so I'm not a director. So I don't want to take credit as a director for those pieces. Well, but, I've been in the business a long time.
Well, in other words, but still, do you take similar approaches when it comes towards music videos in short films? Because the lengths are very similar, but the style is obviously quite different.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are two types of music videos. There's the narrative side of it, and then there's kind of an effects and kind of even an effects based visual music video also kind of has a narrative. It has a point, it has a story. I think though that they're quite different in many ways. When you actually get down to telling story, it is you can mix things visually with video, and a chunk of time is really often taken up with beautiful performances from your talent, from your artists. There's a reason why these people are famous. They have an energy, they have an aura, and you really want to capture that on screen. But there is a side of that storytelling which is quite similar, and the fact that the length of it and that the amount you need to squeeze into maybe 2-3 days of filming is intense often. Yeah, you have a limit on as much as you can, how much you can do in that time.
Do you seek like a longer features than short films and music videos down the road for yourself?
Yes, definitely. I'd love to be able to tell a fuller, grander story, to build on characters. And there's something quite special, I think, in short films where you can leave a little to imagination, where it kind of, you can be shorter, more abrupt with storylines, but there is something where you feel that you can get to the meat of like who these people are and a little bit more depth to story.
So how did you get your start in all this in the business? You started with short films or music videos, or just by luck?
I came out of art school, and honestly, I was a tea girl. I made tea and coffee for people for my first few jobs. I delivered tapes, I delivered film. I was like in London, in Soho, literally like bottom up, very, very much from the beginning. And I then started, I became a producer, I would say quite quickly, within 4 years. I kind of peaked quite early as a producer. I was very hungry to keep going. And then I met Tony Kaye, and I came to America to work on his feature as his creative assistant for American History X, which was like my first ever like big feature Hollywood movie. It was his first Hollywood movie as well. So that's where I felt like I learned story in that side of things. And that's where I started doing my own short films and visual vignettes as well, because I feel like I also came from title sequences, which I think are a real art of filmmaking. A little similar to music videos. A title sequence, again, it's a generally 30 to a minute long, and there's a freedom that you get with music videos and title sequences, a little more freedom than you do with commercials, where there is a client and an agency and everyone's got their point of view. Whereas for title sequences and music videos, it's more about the creative purely. And I've also worked with artists such as Doug Aitken and Francesco Pezzoli, where the film is completely 100% the art, and it is sold as art in galleries. So I think I've had a very broad working, living experience of where we are in film. And so I think I like to pull from all those areas.
That is quite comprehensive. I'm amazed you could, switch hats so easily.
Yeah, it's a lot, but also you're growing with the times and how things change as well. And again, social media changing. I actually think there needs to be a forum better than that exists right now for short films. I feel like I know it's been tried, and I know it's still a growing process, and I don't know who will be that first person to get it 100% right, but I think that there is a place for it. Well curated short films that is put together in a really interesting way, because there is so many out there that I think are great, need to be seen.
Isn't that I think a few years ago, I think I'm trying to remember what the streaming service was like Quibi or something like
yes
that tried to do it, and now going back to social media, that's where a lot of stars come from, is because they create like these little tidbit TikTok videos or 1 minute videos. In its own way, those are short films, don't you think so? Ironically.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Snapchat also started to do little films with a budget, with a proper hired actors and crew. And I think it's there. It just hasn't happened. But yes, I think there is we're so more advanced and more creative with everything that's happening on our phones, for good and bad as well. It's not all good, but yeah, it's a lot going on. What's your relationship with social media?
Me, I've been doing a lot of interviews, and my most viewed video I have created so far is my cat, which sadly that's in my business, you don't want your cat to be more popular than you.
Amazing, because cats and dogs are like, we just want a relief sometimes from the day, and a little brief moment with a cat or a dog on a screen is just like, oh. I think Don't Look Up, he touches on that in his film on Netflix, where like they're flashing the dog on the hen, and it's just like, it just released quick endorphins to like make you feel better.
No, absolutely, and plus, I have to admire your American social short film, because it reminded me of something that just happened in my town that I actually lived in. It was over I want to say it was a recent murder, where the man actually created TikTok videos confessing that he was going to murder his girlfriend, and actually did a series of TikTok videos leading up to the murder, and it's still on TikTok. Yeah, and they haven't taken it down because it was in a different language.
Oh wow, what language is it in?
I think it was a Punjabi or Hindu. It was an Indian man murdering an Indian woman at a cigarette store, and apparently she was cheating on him, and he made a series of videos explaining his actions, leading up him walking to the store. But he did not film himself,
Yeah,
with the murder. But because of that, he got thousands of new followers after his arrest.
Completely. It's there. We also have an obsession with this dark side of life. I mean, like so many TV shows now are about this very subject you're talking about, horror, like, you know, murder, mystery, real murders, like real, I mean, it's kind of crazy in a way that we are, but I'm not sure, I'm not a philosopher to understand why we are so obsessed with it, but we seem to be. I know I am to some degree.
Well, that's why your short film American Social is very relevant for today. So just to wrap up things a little bit up, when can the public get to check out your short film?
Well, today, February 3rd, it is on Vimeo, and should be, as also an access, you can click a link if you follow American Social Film on Instagram.
The irony of promoting social media.
Exactly.
Well, I appreciate you speaking to us about your short film, American Social. I'm going to follow you closely to see more projects down the road, and perhaps maybe you'll extend something into a feature film, longer feature film someday.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to call.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate it. Next time.
Bye.